No bothering looking. They're not coming back.
Who says?
It's been 21 hours. They're not coming back.
But if they did come back, we'd be ready.
Ready as we were the first time.
Horse! Shit! You should have seen the gun crew bring in those big howitzers up and have them pointing out to sea. If we get that second chance, we're ready.
Colonel Worrywart would find a way not to fire.
The only reason he didn't was because he couldn't get clearance from San Francisco.
Uh-huh. And what's your fairy godmother going to bring you this year? You don't actually believe that crap, do you?
That's the only reason we didn't fire on the sub. We couldn't get clearance.
The Colonel made up that other excuse. He didn't want to give away the gun positions by the muzzle flashes.
That didn't stop that nib captain from firing his dead gun and giving away his position. That's just scuttlebutt. Someone made that up.
We'll see about that. What I do know is Oregon had the first chance to return fire against the Japanese.
The Japs did it right.
The Japs fired on us. So we should have given it back to them. But, Colonel Worrywart was more worried about keeping the area policed than he was about fighting. Didn't see fit to give it back to him.
That would have been something, wouldn't it? To have Fort Stevens go down in history as the first place on the mainland to engage the enemy to make up for Pearl Harbor.
Yep. Would have been something. Colonel's going to end up in the same place as Admiral Kimmel. You'll see, he let the Japs come in here and kick the raisins out of his guys, and he didn't give it back to him.
We had the big guns loaded, aimed, and ready to go. And all they had to do was push a button, throw a switch, yank on something.
The Colonel's going to get yanked. They'll put somebody in here who isn't afraid to engage the enemy, who isn't worried about the protection of footlockers. Except we're not going to get a second chance.
How can you be so certain of that?
In case you hadn't noticed, our little army base here isn't exactly a big threat to their empire. Bremerton Shipyard's a Boeing plant. They'll strike there before they come back here.
Damn Seattle! They have all the luck. Getting a chance to fight back. We got caught with our thumbs up our breech block. We had a chance for glory in little Fort Stevens, Oregon. We should have let that Jap sub and all of them know that we were armed and waiting for them. Colonel Worrywart wouldn't pull the trigger.
He didn't have the balls.
Can't be it. The American military wouldn't turn out anybody that indecisive.
It's been 23 years. Almost a quarter century since the last war. We got the officers that were too young for that one and not ready for this one. A good long stretch of peacetime will do that too. A good long stretch of peacetime will do that. Turn out political officers.
All they had to say was fire when ready. I talked to George. He's a loader on the gun crew. He says the shells were in, the guns were sighted. I could see the captain of that Jap sub laughing as he zigzagged and threw the shells in on us. They could track them by their muzzle flashes.
That's probably standard operating procedure. Get them all ready and then not do anything with them. Did they give the guns a fresh coat of paint? Were they afraid that firing would scorch the finish?
What I did hear is our shells couldn't reach them. They were out of range.
We better surrender right now. What's a sub-step gun? Maybe 100 millimeters? We got 10-inch howitzers. Not out of range.
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Gun reach like 100. More inches you got, the better off you are.
I never heard that one before. I went down to the beach and saw the shell craters. They're bigger than you might think.
Oh, the sub's got a pop gun compared to what we have. What if they were out of range? We could have at least had the satisfaction of knowing we'd done what we could. Instead, Colonel Worrywart was too afraid he was going to get in trouble.
He made the call to San Francisco.
Were you there to see him make the call?
No, I wasn't.
That's what we're going to do. I'm going to get a permission slip from my mommy every time I want to defend myself. We're in deep shit.
After the last shell blew up, all our people were down at the beach running around with flashlights. That Jap sub could have stayed around and really taken advantage of the violation of the blackout. They could have really inflicted some casualties, man.
They could have come ashore and had a picnic, left empty sake bottles. The colonel still wouldn't have done anything.
You still chewing on what happened last night?
I'm not. He is.
What am I supposed to do? Feel proud?
This will be a long war. You'll get your chance.
Oh, not like this one.
You young bucks. I've been in this man's army over 20 years, so I've seen a little more than you have. Sometimes you think you know and really you don't. I was supposed to get out before that little event over in Hawaii happened. But after that, they sent me a letter saying, you're in for the duration. I guess they need the experienced old bastards like me to keep you young bucks in line.
Colonel says the best way to keep the barracks clean is to keep the language clean.
You can accept what's going on. All I know is that we didn't plaster that sub when we had the chance. You know, I think the colonel is more worried about appearances than he is with results. For example, just last week when he surprised us with that shiny shoe contest. And then he confiscated all the polish because he says the results were unsatisfactory. Mine are getting kind of dull and scuffed. When are they going to replace the shoe polish anyway?
I heard it's already been reconnoitered.
The word is requisition.
Oh, I'm new at this military jargon.
Yeah, we'll help you with that. Now, I must admit, out of all the commanders I've served under, this colonel is one that's given us the most projects.
You ain't kidding, Sarge.
There used to be a pair of wooden shells out at the entrance to the fort. They stood there like centuries.
I've never seen any shells.
Now, this was Christmas before you two got here. High school kids pulled a prank, took one of those shells, put it up on a stump, stuck a Santa Claus up on top of that. Colonel wanted to take a pair of target practice shells, you know, the non-exploding kind, put out there. He said, see if they can fool around with 600 pounds of solid metal.
I bet that stopped them.
Now, the higher-ups got wind of that. Said it's government property needed for the war effort. Well, Colonel got around that. He had the men in the shop make a mold for a 10-inch shell. But when they put in their requisition for the seamen to do the casting, it was refused. They said it's a high priority item, so there that went.
I have to admit, when the colonel gets an idea, it's really hard to get him to change his mind.
We might as well have had wooden shells for all the good that it did. I just wanted us to see some action.
Be careful what you wish for, young fellow. You could be sent to a hot spot. You damn sure see some action.
This was a hot spot for one night. If we spent less time on projects and more on readiness,
You just can't let go, can you? We got a long war ahead of us. This was just one little incident.
How many rounds were actually fired on us? What was the official count?
I heard 17.
how fast can they fire that gun?
Oh, maybe one round every 15 seconds.
So that'd be 4 rounds a minute, 17 rounds. So that means they were on the surface for over 4 minutes. That's plenty of time to bring our big guns to bear.
I talked to one of the men over on the gunnery crew. He said that first round came in and woke him up. When the second round came in, they were scrambling around in their boxers trying to get suited up in the dark because they didn't want to turn on the lights and give the Japs a better target. By round 4, they had the approximate range. And by round 6, they'd drawn a bead on them. So it wasn't about readiness. Had they been given the order, they could have come,
Why didn't they?
Let me give you a piece of advice. Chain of command got their own reasons for doing things, and we may never know those reasons. But what you got to remember is that the explanation is not always what it appears to be. I got to get. Oh, by the way, most of those reporters that were here have gone on back to Portland to file their reports. You know, now they can calm down a little bit. But they give permission to a gal to walk around and ask a few questions. And we'll get the female perspective. She may not be over here, but just in case. Keep your pants on!
All right.
Just what we need. Some leathery old bride, poking around.
We don't have to answer her questions if we don't want to.
Right. We'll just stonewall her. Give her the old classified information line. Remember, if this dry old biddy starts prying into what happened, you know how to answer.
Excuse me, fellas. I'm here from the Journal. I have permission to be here.
Sorry, lady, that's classified. Here's how I took on the sub. Shell after shell was flying over my head, but I kept my nerve, see?
Classified. Classified, Mona.
Where were you?
It's classified.
Where
That's
were
right,
you
yeah,
when the
free
shelling
classified.
started?
We can't answer that. The enemies read the newspapers too.
Let me clarify. I probably know more than you feel comfortable with me knowing.
Oh yeah?
I know about the ultimate way out of the fort. The back way, Oregon Trail.
Nothing's sacred! There's always some young dumb son of a bitch! Blabbermouth. What else do you know?
The impression I have is there's a lot of discontent here.
I don't know why that would be. Just because the Nips took the initiative and caught us with our pants around our ankles again.
Mona gets a little emotional when he talks about it.
I noticed.
So sorry, honorable American. Got caught with trousers down around ankles.
We just got them at Midway.
That's clear over the horizon somewhere. But what we're discussing is what happened right here. And our duty was to give it back to them, and we didn't. And we didn't.
You don't think the order to engage was withheld? They may have had superior firepower?
Yeah, right. We had them 20 inches to their 5.5.
I know a funny joke about a honeymoon.
If we put one of those 600-pound shells anywhere near that sub, they might have thought that they caught us napping, but we didn't stay that way.
I think it was a miracle that no one was wounded.
There you go, yeah.
There was one casualty.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. One shell from the sub landed on the baseball field and punched a hole in the backstop. The backstop. Maybe the colonel will give the backstop a Purple Heart.
Easy, Walnut. I don't think we're giving her the right impression here.
Yeah, that's good.
I can't write a story that reflects this kind of frustration and hostility. It's bad for home front morale.
It would only be the truth. Is the blue bottle full?
Just about. It's all going to the Red Cross.
Better medical care. Financed by Swearing.
That's an interesting angle. You guys mind if I sit down and make a few notes?
Suit yourself.
So that's your cue, Cookie.
Hey, you student, Sergeant needs you front and center right away.
Subsiding?
No. Some official drove down from Portland and backed his car into the slip trench. They want you two to help fish him out.
All right.
No, lady. I'm a war correspondent.
Oh, I'm Cookie.
Since I'm here, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
I don't know anything. I'm just a cook.
I'll tell you what I told the others. I probably know more than you feel comfortable with me knowing.
What might that be?
What can you tell me about the missing cheese?
Who put you onto that? Not those two privates.
Confidential source.
Oh, why don't you ask them for the answer?
You won't help me?
Long way from Long Island. There isn't much to tell. First of all, let me say that it wouldn't have happened if they hadn't started drinking.
What wouldn't have happened?
We had a dance last weekend. The 249th band was playing. Everybody was having a good time. Just somebody broke out a bar. I think it was that drummer, Mogan. He's rough trade. Some people just should not drink. Anyway, he and this Navy captain are back there taking a couple of swigs, and a couple numbers later, this captain cuts in on the colonel and starts dancing with his wife in a kind of suggestive kind of manner. That's when the whole thing started. Next day, in fact.
When what started?
anything the Navy wanted suddenly became very hard to find. Need some paint? Sorry, fellas, all out. Small arms ammunition? Oh, it must be all out at the warehouse in Portland. But really got their goat, and in a manner of speaking, their Navy goat, was when their refrigeration unit busted, and they had to bring 3 pallets of cheese over here to store, sort of temporarily. Next day, it's all gone. Sorry, fellas. Must have ate it all. They didn't believe it. They tore this place apart looking for their cheese. They even brought in the Inspector General. They went away empty-handed.
Where do you think it went?
I know where it went, at least according to Scummel. You see, the colonel's not supposed to know about the Oregon Trail. But he didn't want anyone seeing his cheese being transported through the front gate in trucks. So he had it smuggled out using the Oregon Trail.
Did anyone personally tell you that's how it happened, that they helped carry it out?
Well, no. But the grudge the old man had for the Navy, I'm pretty sure that's what went on.
Even if it's true, I can't report any of this. Let's get back to the basics. Where were you when the sub started shelling the beach?
I've said too much already.
We've gone this far. No point in turning back now.
Well, after the shelling started, it woke me up just like everyone else. But that's not what's important. What's important was what happened the night before. See, I was coming back on the trail. I have a gal over in Astoria. I was seeing her. And I'm coming back on the trail, see. And, well, maybe this isn't so important after all.
Why don't you let me have the information and I'll decide whether it's important?
They told me never to volunteer for anything, so I guess that must mean not volunteering for information.
Please. Please.
All right. Anyway, I'm coming back on the trail, see. Now, the mess hall is my responsibility. So when I see it all lit up like that late at night, and there's guards walking the perimeter with fixed bayonets, I knew something funny was going on. So I waited till one passed, and then I tiptoed up to the window and looked in. What do you think I saw? The colonel in an apron, standing in front of the soup tureens, making a big batch of something.
Soup?
Nah, I don't think so. It's probably just another one of his damn fool projects.
Is that swearing I heard? Somebody cussing in the barracks?
You been standing out there listening?
Long enough to know you better make a contribution to that blue bottle.
The tax got everybody shook up so much that they bringing ladies into the barracks.
Our company doesn't offend us.
Yeah, well that damn darn thing takes all my money. I'm going back to where a fella can exercise his rights of free speech. Back to my mess hall.
Mind if I join you? I'd like to take a look around over there.
Sure, why not? You can show me how to make Girl Scout cookies.
You got a flashlight over there?
Yeah, somewhere.
See what's going on? She's picked up on it.
What?
It's almost as if it's catching.
What?
Everyone's agitated and edgy. We're all making real nice with the words. But what we're really feeling is a disappointment on what we missed out on.
Happy's right. You just can't let go.
You know what's really bothering me? It took a while for me to figure this out. You and I went through basic training together. crawled on our bellies while they fired live ammo over our heads. We stepped together into the tear gas chamber and just took it. Spent time on the rifle range until we were qualified. Did push-ups and jumping jacks until our arms almost flew off.
I know, I was there. Come on, let's play some cards.
Then they gave us nice new uniforms and sent us to this fort. And when we had a crack at the enemy, we just did one big pratful. All of our training and sacrifice was wasted. But what really bothers me worst of all is that the sub-captain got to have the feeling of what it's really like to be in combat. I took guts for him to surface off our coast and get his gun crew out there. Stay calm, even professional, while they put 17 rounds into mainland America. They did their assignment, and we ran around here. So we pick this up, paint this. And when we had a chance to duel out the sub, turns out just a costume party. Ah, shit.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Where'd that lady reporter go?
She went over to the mess hall with Cookie.
Looking for a hot lead.
I doubt if we'll see her again.
Wouldn't be so sure of that.
Sarge, you were down there in the trenches in World War I. What's it like to have an exchange of shells? The real thing, what's it feel like?
First thing you realize, you should have brought an extra pair of shorts.
You want in?
Still chewing on it, are you? You're all right about one thing. You can't know what it feels like to be in combat without actually being in combat.
What am I supposed to do? Not feel what I'm feeling?
Go ahead and feel. You gotta remember, I was telling you about the chain of command. They're very mysterious in the way they work. This might not be helpful, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. You seem to have a low opinion of the colonel. But I believe the colonel knew ahead of time we were gonna be attacked.
How?
What?
Last night, before the shelling, I went over to Battery Russell, collect some poker winners from a man over there. While we were standing there, a deuce and a half pulls up. Who do you think's in the passenger seat? It's the colonel. He's got special details. They get out and drop the tailgate on that truck. There's a tarp covering something in the back. They pull the tarp and you won't believe what I saw. 2 secret weapons. A pair of shells none like I've ever seen before. Gleaming black.
And you actually think there were secret weapons?
They were the same size and shape of regular shell, but they had some kind of special coating. It'll make them fly faster or to give them some kind of armor-piercing effect. Right? Those sentries took them out of the truck one by one, real careful. And the colonel supervised every step. He told one of the officers over there, I want you to keep these loaded in a gun till you receive further orders. They all got back in the deuce and a half and drove off.
So, it's right there in front of us. All makes perfect sense.
Not for me.
So, the colonel knew ahead of time that we were going to be attacked. He knew after we sank that enemy sub that was supposed to show up that everyone and their brother would come down to the fort and be part of the celebration. But he couldn't tell anybody. So that's why he was in the mess hall getting the food ready.
Oh, what a considerate man. What are you talking about?
Cookie stopped by while you were gone. We overheard him telling the reporter that the colonel was at the mess hall after hours secretly making food.
That must be why they had to call Camp San Francisco. Get permission to use the secret weapon. But for some reason, they wouldn't let him.
And that's why they wouldn't let them have control over a top secret weapon.
This all sounds kind of far-fetched to me.
Now it's all coming together except for one thing. Why didn't they shoot when they had a chance?
Maybe the secret weapon was too powerful to be used on a sub. Maybe they were expecting a battle wagon.
Or maybe it was too expensive to waste on a sub.
Probably out of the colonel's hands.
Why did they pull out the special shells and just put in regular ones?
Maybe they ran out of time.
Maybe I have been too hard on the Colonel.
This is, boy, you're flocking a dead horse here. This summitax really got you rattled.
Rattle.
I'm back. I think I discovered something.
What's that, little lady?
Okay, bring it in.
You open a clock.
Right about there, yeah. Sure.
Thing is heavy as hell.
Yeah.
She wanted you to see this for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm going back to my mess hall. I got something in the oven.
I decided to play a hunch. I learned a few things from being in a reporter pool.
Oh, so what'd you discover?
I went over to the mess hall to see for myself what was over there. I was going to poke around in the trash bin to see what I could find, but then I didn't have to. It was right there in front of me. I didn't know what it was at first.
What is it?
It was propped up against the wall next to the back door. When I bent down to take a closer look, I saw the writing on the side. M 10-inch high explosive.
Hey, this is the mold they made to cast those ornamental shells to put on either side of the entrance to the fort.
Why did they leave it over at the kitchen?
When I reached my hand inside and felt around, when I pulled it out, it was oily.
Well, that's so the casting wouldn't get stuck to the mold. That's the only way they could get it out.
Here, give it a shake.
There is a rattle sound.
Empty beer cans? Empty beer cans?
Reach inside and feel around.
Shoe polish.
What color shoe polish?
Black.
Black?
I hope this isn't going where I think it's going.
I don't know what you're thinking, but I don't want to be thinking what I'm thinking. Let me tell you what I think happened. You tell me if I'm right.
What was that? You throw the shoe polish?
Yeah. You tell me if I'm right. The night that Cookie saw the Colonel in the mess hall after hours wearing the apron, he wasn't making food for a wing gauge. He was melting down the Navy's cheese so he could pour it into the shell mold. And when it cooled off, he took it out and then coated the outside with shoe polish.
Black shoe polish.
Then the Colonel had this special detail hauled over to the battery. And he told them it was a top secret weapon and to keep the guns loaded until further notice. Not knowing that by a 1 in a million chance, that would be the night that the Jap sub would show up. And the real reason they weren't allowed to shoot back was actually that the guns were loaded with a half ton of cheese. Is that what you're telling us? Is that how it happened? Do you know what would happen if this story got out? Shit! Crap!
Probably what he needed to get it all out.
I refuse to believe it. I need something more solid, something I can touch, something I can sink my teeth into.
I'm not interrupting anything important here, am I?
No, what do you got there?
Pastorini gave me the recipe. They call it pizza.
Yeah, like that.
You guys were doing all this fancy analyzing down here. I figured you were working up an appetite, so I brought it over. Don't touch it right now. Maybe somebody can touch it right here.
Yeah.
No, don't touch it now. It's hot.
Yeah.
Don't touch it now. It's hot.
It has an interesting aroma. Rich or pungent, too.
Kind of funny. It's kind of funny. The Inspector General tore this fort apart, and they didn't find enough cheese to bait a mousetrap. Day after the attack, there's all kind of cheese. But it's not in blocks. It's in a kind of Maybe I can make it. Kind of a wheel.
How big around are these wheels?
Yay big?
10 inches?
Yeah, how'd you know? Anyway, I gotta get back to my mess hall and button everything up for the night. Let me know what you think about this pizza.
I don't know if I believe it, or I just don't want to.
Sit down.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
You said you needed something to sink your teeth into.
The pizza, yeah.
I'll try about as you will. You want to grab it? Grab a pizza?
I'm in a trance.
You're probably
It's
not
good.
picking up a pizza yet.
But it's got a little bit of an aftertaste. Like shoe polish.
With a trace of black powder. Lost my appetite.
Me too.
It's getting late. I have to get back to Portland. But don't worry, this is too wild of a story. Anyway, no one would believe it. When we come out of the other end of this, I'm gonna write a book.
I want a signed copy, just to make sure I wasn't imagining this whole thing.
Nice meeting you.
That's good, yeah. I'd give a little something to Jay, or whatever, a wave, or if he's close enough, yeah. Give him a little handshake or whatever.
If you boys ever lose track of just what it is you're fighting for, that was it. You guys got a coffin nail?
Sure.
I'm gonna go outside.
You would have gotten a bowl anyway.
Yeah.
You alright? Look like you're in some sort of a trance. Walnut. Snap out of it. We did all we could. That's all we could do. It's not like anyone's ever going to know what really happened. Wait. What's that? I think I hear something. I think it's a job sub. I think he's back. Here. Look. Get the range. Get ready. Fire.
Hey!
Sub bracketed by the first salvo. Guns are being reloaded. Range corrected. Fire when ready.
Hey! Can I have a smoking piece?
Oh, sub,
Possible hit.
possible hit.
Sub crash.
Sub crash diving. Trailing oil.
I gotta get the hell out of here.
Feel a little better now?
Why couldn't it have gone just that way? No one ever knows the real story.
Right. Did it take a little bit of the weight off of your shoulders?
Maybe. Yeah. I guess it did. Even though it was just a gesture in our own small way, we finally did return fire.
Alright, yeah. Senator, we're gonna give pizza to the audience members so they can throw pizza at you guys when you're done.
Like the Rocky Horror.
Show.